Let's get sketchy. We have another project that we do have to get on, and we're going to call this one, very simply put, Happy Wife, Happy Life. Some of you also refer to it as Happy Spouse, Happy House. This is my wife's GMC Acadia. It has been slowly giving up the ghost, and I have no desire to work on it anymore. It consumes oil that I hate to continue to change as often as it requires to be changed. I am done with this vehicle. It's time to move on. I'd rather get something that I can work on, that I don't mind working on. And most of you know, I like Jeeps. So, right after I sold the Jeep Wrangler to cover some costs of some other things, needed builds, not projects, this became available, and as you can see, it's got some damage here, not so much over here, but definitely here. This was in a front end collision. It's knocked the nose of it to the driver's side. It looks like it has bent the passenger side frame horn. What I'm going to attempt to do, because I acquired it at a very fair price, is straighten this out. We're going to see if we can straighten this nose. We are going to probably remove the motor, the transmission transfer case to create enough room to get in there to straighten out the frame horn and try to figure out where square is once again, get everything straightened up. Also, I don't know if you can bottom line is we're gonna have to work our magic to see if we can get this thing mostly straightened out. And let me show you why. This thing is actually in really, really good shape. It's had body work done to it. Some of the rust was already removed. This axle is not located where it should be. It was hit so hard here, it also made contact here, and now this is several inches off center. The upper control arm is folded like a taco. The bottom one is completely ripped off the bottom of the axle housing. See if you can see that. So it's completely severed. Of course, some other collateral damage, steering dampener, but anyway, I think the majority of it, things of that nature. I don't know if you can see any bending edge. Yeah, you can some here where this is buckled in that way and potentially down some. Don't really see any damage to the frame horn over there, although it probably followed suit. Fortunately, I don't know what color of blue that is. We'll see if we can get it to match. If not, it doesn't really matter. I like to paint it, but we'll see when we get to that point. And believe it or not, all the substructure, subframe is in really good shape. The floors are in good shape. This thing had been undercoated at some point. I believe that is the 231 transfer case. But it is very clean. Looks like new exhaust. And anyway, you can see the bent control arm there. That has to be replaced. This thing's in really is pretty good shape. But there's more. Let me show you. You may already caught this, especially if you're Jeep Cherokee people. This thing's already been 5-speed swap. So it's got the AX15 5-speed manual transmission in it. Inside's been jazzed up just a fuzz. But there's more. That there is a sticker for Jasper Motor Company, or whatever they're called, Jasper Engines and Transmissions. And some of you may know who they are. Some of you may have some thoughts and opinions on them. It is what it is. But what does that mean to some of you who are not sure? Right down there is the other Jasper sticker, which matches. Currently has 14,600 miles on that engine. It is practically a brand new engine. They didn't get lost. They showed me everything it was done to it. A very itemized list. There were some dollars spent on this thing. New clutch, pressure plate, brakes, AC system, heater control system, engine. I mean, this thing's perfect for what I need it for. There again, as I said, happy wife, happy life, happy spouse, happy house. It's time for this old girl to move on down the road and find a new owner who's willing to give it the love that I so desire not to give it anymore. We're going to switch to something that's got potential. Jeep 4.0, AX 515 5-speed, Dana 30s, and currently sporting 31 10.5 15 tires with room to grow. Has not had any real lift to it yet, but it's going to be fun. And believe it or not, my wife knows how to drive a manual. I taught her how. Anyway, let's work on disassembly. Some of the front end taken apart. Let me show you a little bit of the damage done to this. I don't even know what you call this section of it, but let me show you. So the nice thing is I'm not really seeing any buckling here. It is a little smashed in here, which I can push a lot of that out, and I think it'll be fine. Touch up the paint, straighten out this portion of the flange. I'm not too concerned with that necessarily. You can definitely see it's pushed in as where you don't really see that here, which is expected. I'm going to continue taking more stuff apart. I got the battery box I'm going to take out of it. Obviously the fans have got to come out of it, the shroud, radiator, condenser, all that stuff. Let's see what we can get done this evening. All right, got the AC lines off. Oh, and obviously, note to self. Bleed the pressure off before you pop the lines. Duh. I didn't do that. I figured there was a hole in the system. Guess I was wrong. Alright, this is just about ready to come off. One more hose. And we are happening. Yeah, that one don't have one on. Not sure why. Anyway, probably need these block off lines. Probably end up needing these for the new radiator, so we'll keep up with this. Of course, the radiator cap's probably still good too. So anyway, making progress. I'm gonna get back at it. All right, looks like we're gonna have to implement the hot wrench. I'm gonna have to cut a gusset in there so I can get to one of the bolts. There may be two more a little further up. Can't quite see it. This will tell me when I get that relief cut put in there, get the large bolt out. That'll give me an idea if there's two more bolts, which I expect to be. Then I'll figure out what to do next. Lose my daylight, but look, bumper's off and out of the way. See, nice and clear, kind of access. The damage still looks pretty bad. Let me see if I can give you a view. I don't know if we can capture this on camera, but let me show you what I'm seeing here. Evaluate that to see if that is the case. Chaining this side and bracing off of something is an option, and that's probably what I'm going to have to do. Put some heavy reinforcement plate in there and see if I can get something on there. I don't know what. I may have to make something and pull against it and see what happens. We're going to try to pull the front axle back forward. Probably not the best move, but it doesn't need to be pulled forward. I need new control arms, and it'll give me a better sense of where center actually is, so, or should be, and hopefully it moves. Let me show you what I got going on. We got my crusty old welding Dodge truck, 12,000 pound winch, and a cable. Pay no attention to the chain. It is actually wrapped around and created a loop at the differential. I'm about to fire this thing up and see if it'll do what I need it to do. Kind of working. Pulled on the front diff, got it about where it needed to be. Since then, it's kind of settled back in. I've done a couple other things here, and then I'm going to show you what's going on. Alright, so currently, sway bars, they had their quick disconnect, which was fantastic, made life a little easier. Popped those loose, got the shock out of there, got the spring out of there, and here's part of the reason why. As you can see, possibly there, you can see a ding in the oil pan also. I saw that a while ago. This is smashed in right here. Now right here's also where the shock went. So I'm thinking, well, I'll tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe this frame horn was pushed down, and in return it pushed in here, and that front to back it's off. But I don't think that's the case. I think because the shock was here and it needed some place to go and it was all bent and cattywampus also, I think it just pushed in there. So here's what I've got going. Currently, got the Jeep up on jack stands, evenly on both sides. All the weight is on the subframe in the same location, both sides. I wanted to relax this very front section as much as possible, because I'm going to take a dimension from the concrete to the top of the horn, concrete to the top of the horn or top of the frame rail, and see if they're roughly the same. If they're within 1/4 of an inch, I'm probably not even going to worry about it. With that being said, if that's the case, and all I got to do is try to figure out how to get the frame horns pulled back this way, so we're looking for some common dimensions. Let's just go here. So we're 34.5 inches to the top here. And looks like 34 7/8. So it does look like 34.5. Here we are. We're back on the Cherokee. We're gonna do what we can here. We're getting ready to rig something up to try to pull this thing out here. We're gonna get that first little wrinkle out right where that shock was. Well, we're gonna attempt to anyway. All right, let's try to pick a spot we think's going to work. Give us a pretty straight pull if possible. I think that's the spot. I got to tack it on the inside, so. Need a lot of mustard, but we need just the right amount of mustard. All right, let me get my pulling power set up. All right, so nothing's really changed here. I'm gonna go back and heat that lug up, or at least the metal around it. It's on jack stands. I was really hoping I'd get it soft enough it'd just pull itself out, but instead it was kind of pulling a whole Jeep over, which made it scary. So we added an anchor, and now we're going to try it again. All right, this is the sketchy apparatus that we currently have set up. Got my trailer winch attached to the back of my truck. I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I think it's going to come right out. All right, so that stinks. I'm getting an unnecessary amount of movement because I do have this thing up on jack stands. So I'm gonna have to brace it. I have to brace it and then try again. Well, it's kind of working. Well, now if this thing's all nice and hot in the middle, let's put it back on there and try again. I think we'll focus. Really need to get that to pull out. We'll try it. I may have allegedly burnt some plastic wire loom, but just allegedly. So let's continue on. But we do need to remove that sway bar so I can get some power in there. So let's do that. So I think I'm trying to go at this a little too delicately. I'm fooling myself. Words are tough. You see my face? You probably don't want to see my face. But what if a guy makes a couple sacrificial moves? This is probably not the fix for everybody or anybody. You probably shouldn't do what I do for obvious reasons. I'm not the brightest bulb in the shed or the sharpest tool in the cupboard, but what if a guy is to get this brake line out of the way? It'd be kind of a sacrificial brake line. We'll just unbolt it, get it out of the way, right? This is still gonna end up being a wrinkled mess, and I kind of expected it. So my thought was I would just I'd hammer in the high spots, weld in the holes, grind off all these residual tacks, and we would just put a reinforcement plate and, you know, put some spot welds in there to have the necessary strength. But I'm thinking, since I have the power, maybe not the welding gas, but I have the power. Just comes in here and he just goes zip, 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 zippity zo. And we just cut us a big old access panel here, right? Then on the inside, there's a couple bolts, 4 I believe, that hold a brace that the motor mount bolts to. This fastens to the subframe. This fastens to that. The engine mount fastens to that. And there's like 4 bolts, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. And I loosen those all up with the hope that none of them break. It'll probably break. You know how I know? Because we already lost a sway bar bolt that now I have to fix. We create us a big access panel. We'll weaken the structure enough, and then maybe it won't take so much to pull this way. Because without the proper tools, even with this sketchy setup, it's not quite working. But I've done more extreme things, and I don't think I'm going to hurt the integrity of the material. Because I don't think that I will. I'll get it welded back together good. And yeah, let me think on that just a little bit more. I'm going to go put a little bit of food in my belly so that I can make sure that all the gears are firing or all the wheels are popping and I'm catching the good teeth up there. So let me think on that a minute. I'm going to come back out here and do something and make something, and it'll be different-ish. But anyway, let me get right back to you. All right. After I got some really poor nutrition in my system, let's go ahead and do what I was thinking I was going to do. It's all right. You can hate on me. Tell me it's the dumbest thing ever, and that I've weakened the whole thing. But I'm going to do it anyway. So, without further ado, let's get at it. So I learned something. There's an inner structure to that, which makes sense, being a big hollow cavity. Let me show you. There's this structure, which ties into your upper control arm link thing. And this is a additional internal support on this subframe. And apparently it's spot welded, which I've seen a few. And it goes further. I'm not sure how much further that way, but it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to attempt to do is straighten this out a little bit. I'll clean all the spot welds off. There's not a whole lot left of the original plate, so I'll smash that. As you seen a second ago, there was another little sliver here as I was trying to figure out what was in there. Actually, I think it goes... How does it go? That way? Yeah. Anyway, it goes that way, I think. Yeah. I'll remake this whole piece as it should be out of some material that is equivalent. I'm also going to clean these shavings out, and before I put the new piece back in, I will spray bomb this with some sort of rust inhibitor the best that I can. I'll never be able to protect the weld from the backside, and any paint that I put on there is pretty much going to burn off, you know, creating problems years down the road. However, that is not the concern now. The concern now is to try to figure out how to straighten this thing out more. Anyway, let me get back to you. I think I have a failure point where I don't want it. We're going to try it anyway, just to see how it reacts, and then decide then, since we know it's probably going to fail there, to rig it differently. But this is what I've got going on. Got this chain around this frame horn. I've relief cut right here. Showed you I already cut an opening in the frame here. Spot I think it's going to start to fail is right where I've been doing the bending and stuff at. So we're just going to see what happens. I don't have the ideal spot chained off here because I've just got it a hold of the other frame horn. And that's not the direction it needs to go. It needs to come this way, but we can only deal with one thing at a time. Oh, I see it, but I've got that additional support mount for the engine mount unbolted. I got the upper two bolts out. Yeah, 1, 2, it looks like it might be missing a couple. Anyway, but I still have 2 bolts in it that are a couple of threads in. That is going to be my limit on how far it'll pull, if I can get it to pull. Alright, let's see what happens. That's quite a bit of movement. Probably gained about a finger's width. Not really getting any engine mount movement where I thought it would. Must be another bolt. Really need to pow that thing, but Okay, we're getting improvement down in there. I'll bring you guys over here in a minute. I gotta figure out what's holding. Evolved. Let me show you. First off, whew, the sun is hot. That summer, fall, summer heat, whatever, it's hot. So, I've added in my old canopy. I use this one to build Jeep. My wife's Jeep, the CJ7 that you see me wheeling. Yeah, I built that Jeep pretty much outside. I built the bits and pieces on the inside, but did all the fabrication on the outside, believe it or not. Over like a year and a half-ish plus time. Anyway, trying to get some relief. So, we're still set up all sketchy. I didn't change any of that. See the chain going from the truck. Still on the jack stands. Got the winch running to it. We have broke out the porta power. And we are gaining some ground. See, you can see the opening here. But at the same time, this is not the ideal spot to be chained off to, because this really needs to come this way also. But anyway, that's just kind of what I got to do for now. Next is we're going to be doing like 3-person job with 6 hands, but with 2 hands, maybe 1, while sitting some weird fashion as I try to be in 15 different places at once. Let me show you our efforts. All right, from the looks of things, I know it's a little hard to tell. You can see some discoloration in the paint. This is a buckle right here to the inside. That's one of 2 that's there. The other one is right in here, and that's where it actually pushed into the floor, which you've seen in the earlier video. I need to try to push this out, and I don't have a lot of options. That's where the porta power is coming in. But that duckbill porta power is not going to have the ability to push it all on its own, and it looks like it needs repositioned. However, if I add some heat, hydraulics, and 12,000 pounds of pulling power, maybe I can get this thing kind of back into shape. See if we can do it. It's got to be better than what it is. Let's get sketchy. First, start with the key ingredient. Fire. More fire. Whoop. Ah. Whoa. It's not working. Work. Aren't you working? I think we're gonna have to try something else. The duckbill don't seem to have enough. Just touch it. Where's my hammer? Bring me my hammer. Let me see what other options I got? Since that didn't work. Alright, here's an update. Sketch level up one notch. We've now added in a brace from the Jeep to the back of the truck to try to keep from pulling the whole vehicle too much. We now have a jack under the frame horn to try to keep that pushed up. As you can see, it's kind of pulling down. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. So other than force it up under the weight of the Jeep and then continue doing what I'm doing. Other than that, we're making very little progress on kicking these wrinkles out or working these wrinkles out. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is when I get it where I think it's where it's supposed to be, I'll try to I'll try to lock it down, and then of course I got to switch all my efforts over to the other frame horn and figure out how to pull it over to this one, and fingers crossed I actually get it mostly square. Alright, I've got this pushed up. I have quite a bit of tension on this currently, and of course my brace is locked in over there. We're going to give it a little bit more pull and see if it does anything extra that's beneficial. See where we're at on the engine. I feel like that's pretty close to where it needs to be. Really need to get in there and hammer on that frame rail. But I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's almost a full fist. Get in there. Yes, let me check the jack stands, and we can see. Yeah, kind of pulling those over, so I got to be really careful of those. See if I can massage that inner frame a little bit more. Yeah, bad idea. another round. Why not? We're gaining each time. I don't know if this is too much, not enough, maybe more, maybe less. See the height problem? Then we got some twistage. Now I know this has got to come over, but I don't think it has to come over that much. But it might. I hope not, but it might. Anyway, you got to get this little sad eye here straightened out. This is straight as a rookie's arrow, and a little more equivalent to what you see here. I think the rest of that can be hidden and still serve its purpose. Let me try to push this thing up, see if that helps. Alright guys, we're back. We're back working on the Jeep Cherokee. Been doing some stuff to it, trying to get it done. We got a rainstorm coming in, thunderstorm if you will. We've got some we got some bendage in areas I don't want it to be bent in. So as I conjure up a plan to fix that, I may end up having to go to the very thing I've been trying to avoid, and that's removing the engine, just to try to get this frame horn straightened out structurally and re-supported. I've got it pretty close back to where I think it's square. Things are looking a little more proper, if you will. But that's going to be it for this week's video. Appreciate every one of you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome to all the new members on the Just Welding Fab Facebook page. And I hope you guys enjoy. And stay tuned for, we'll say at least a part 2. Hopefully not a part 3, but we'll see where we end up anyway. Appreciate every one of you. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.